Lamar. We've seen Lamar do it a bunch of times. Even Mahomes this season has some kind of ugly games you had to pull out a win. I think we got to I think sometimes we kind of pick and choose based off like what our ideas of a quarterback are or what a player is. Some quarterbacks I feel like are allowed to win dirty. Some quarterbacks, when they win dirty,
I'll tell you this,
I think, put on a bit of a curve.
I think for me, I think Hurts is like, he's like almost like too nice for me. Like he says all the right things. I mean, my wife thinks he's really handsome. You know, like I think there's like you know, he's got the dimples. He's with Jordan Brand. I mean, like
the chains.
I mean, like I saw like a funny meme. It was like Jalen Hurts wants to be old so bad. You know, he says his favorite album is Frankie Beverly live in New Orleans. He's wear those high khakis and the way he dresses. I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like, man, it's like, you know, who's really in there? Like I wanted Jalen Hurts to win this, be like, yeah, I am top 5. Like, F the haters and kind of get that. I mean, there's a really cold picture of him. Have you seen it where he's sitting down? He's got the Lombardi trophy in the middle. But look, I will say this. I mean, he could probably make the case as being the best Eagles quarterback of all time. Maybe.
I might be a little biased to my guy, but
it's tough. It's tough. But I mean, the fact that the Eagles have 2 Super Bowls now and everything that Howie Roseman and that organization has done, I mean, I think that there's a lot of similarities between, I mean, let's not forget, I mean, Jalen Hurts, there used to be memes where they would Photoshop Russell Westbrook's face on him, right? And like he has overcome a lot, and give him credit. He played his A game yesterday, and Patrick Mahomes played his D game, right? If he played his B- game, the Eagles can possibly still win because you have Saquon Barkley in the receivers and the defense that they have. But still, I will say that you got to put some respect on his name.
Facts.
Any doubters that Jalen Hurts had as far as can you win with this current group, you got to go away. I mean, the Dak Prescotts, the Justin Herberts, and those type of guys, the Jared Goffs, like, I mean, he's not in that category. I think that winning, he's up there. I mean, look, I'm just in love with Jaden Daniels, man. Like,
I'm in love with Jaden Daniels too. I just don't want this. I just don't want to see a Justin Herbert part 2. That's my biggest fear. I think this could be Justin Herbert part 2, and I don't want to be in a situation where we have anointed this kid at the top of the mountain, and then we have to wait for him to have 2 abysmal playoff games back to back to finally decide like to wake up and smell the coffee. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And look, playing in the playoffs matters. Performing when the lights are bright matters.
Right.
Jalen Hurts, last 5 playoff games, 1,162 yards, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 102.3 passer rating. Give him the credit. Jaden Daniels, though, what numbers does he wear?
Jaden Daniels, 5.
He's in my top 5. All right, switching gears here. Got to talk the halftime show. Kendrick Lamar, 13 minutes. He had the crowd sing. Everyone did the A minor line, which he had 65,000 people doing the A minor. I thought that was definitely one of the high points of the show. There was a lot of debate over Kendrick Lamar's performance. Some people said it was the worst halftime show ever. A lot of people point out the symbolism in it. I do think it was a big win for flared jeans, by the way. Those flared jeans went off. Good luck getting a pair of flared jeans today. He was wearing the Deion Sanders Prime 96 shoes, which was pretty cold. There's a lot of hidden message. You had Serena Williams crip walking on Drake's grave.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Right, and that was his ex. She's from Compton. And you had Serena Williams crip walking. You had him with the A minor chain, which I thought was a classic Kendrick. I think the high point for me probably was when he looked at the camera directly when he said, "Say Drake," and he had that wicked smile. And it felt like the beef between them was still burning at a high level. But I will say overall, like, I think for anyone saying it was a bad performance, it just says, look, just say you don't like Kendrick Lamar, because that's what it really is, because that was a Kendrick Lamar performance. You had a guy out there, first of all, no backtrack. The breath control was crazy for 13 minutes to go out there. The America's Samuel L. Jackson, Uncle Sam, I thought that was an interesting twist to it. Is it up there for me with Michael Jackson, who went onto the stage and didn't move for a full minute, and the producers were freaking out, and he ends up moonwalking, right? I mean, does it top Michael Jackson moonwalking? No. Does it top Prince doing Purple Rain in the rain in Miami? No. I mean, I would say he's not that kind of artist that has a catalog of like 15 number 1 hits. That's what you see at these shows. It's like number 1 hit, number 1 hit, number 1 hit, number 1 hit, number 1 hit. That's not really what Kendrick Lamar is, but Not Like Us won the Song of the Year at the Grammys, won the Record of the Year. He teased it, then kind of went away from it. Yeah. I think he ultimately delivered, but what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the biggest takeaways, everybody's focusing on the beef and like what he was going to say about Drake. And so I saw like the Daily Mail put out that it was one of the worst halftime performances of all time, which I just completely disagree with. Listen, I don't want to talk about where my side lies in the
why
beef,
not
in the beef. I don't want to go that far, but I will say the symbolism of the performance I really did enjoy. The Uncle Sam, the things that he talked about, like this is bigger than music. Like people were thinking that it's about beef, but I think he was talking about like the 40 acres and a mule. That's going over a lot of people's heads, and I think the reality of that performance and the reason why it got scrutiny is because people just didn't resonate with the messaging within the performance. I think the only thing they resonated with was the beef with Drake. But ultimately, I loved it. I loved the American flag. I loved the dancers. I loved how for Black History Month, every dancer was Black. You know what I'm saying? So I thought there were a lot of things that symbolism-wise he was trying to push out, and I thought that was really cool. Obviously, this is not Whitney Houston's national anthem.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to put that performance on those levels, but I do think it was a little over-criticized. Definitely over-criticized.
I think that anyone in look, this is a safe place. This is a safe place. You can say what you want. I mean, look, I'll be if I took True Serum right now, I'd be like, man, I honestly love Drake as much as I love Kendrick. Yeah. For me, it feels like my parents are fighting. They'd be like, "No, fight in front of me." You know, like I don't like that at all. I don't either. I don't like it at all. I hate it. I hate it, man. It makes me feel weird because I'm from the West Coast, but I'm from LA. I feel like I gotta kind of have my ties towards. I mean, all my OVO merch, I haven't left the house with it in a year and a half. I just wear it in the house, you know? It's like I wear the chains in the house, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of how I am with Drake. But I do agree with you is that some people, they were Drake fans and they were like, oh, please be bad. Oh, I hope this sucks. Yeah. Oh, it sucks. It sucks. See, it sucks. You know, like they were waiting to say they didn't like it. Yeah. But the truth is, like, I mean, I don't know. This is how I kind of view like, performances like this. When it ended, I was pissed that it ended. Like I wanted to stick an extra 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I was telling the people in the other room, like, one of my favorite albums, Good Kid, Mad City, where Kendrick. I mean, yeah. You know, like if he was on the GNX and he was posing and he started with that a cappella, and then the red, white, and blue dudes come out of the car, like I would have lost my shit. And that's the only thing for me is that there wasn't a part during the show where I lost my ish. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it be like a surprise performance, something he said, something he did, but I was just more like, oh, this is cool. Like I thought Euphoria when he performed that was kind of like one of the high points for me. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's the first hip hop artist to perform at the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. So you got to give him credit for doing that and breaking those boundaries. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, I would pay to see did Drake watch it? I mean,
well, Drake's in Australia on tour, so probably didn't. But he's also
there was like a leak video of like a bunch of his OVO crew watching it. People thought it was Drake, but the guy had braids, and Drake of course cut his braids, so it was deemed false. But his OVO crew was watching.
And also too, I mean, you know, Drake got some music coming out on Valentine's Day, so. He's not thinking about this.
He definitely thinking about it. He definitely.
But you know, it is. To me, it was you know, what's funny? Like it was actually to me, it was like the performance also was similar to like how a Kendrick album goes. Like when I first saw it live, first of all, I was telling these guys, I was bummed that it was a blowout. It was it was such a blowout that I was like, you could have had Michael Jackson. I'd be like, man, this game sucks. Like, I was sad that it was a blowout, so it was hard for me to enjoy it. But it was like a Kendrick album. Like on first listen, there's just so much going on. You're like, I gotta run that back and watch it a couple more times to really get the true feel for it. But all in all, man, I mean, you gotta give the guy credit. You gotta, I mean, to go from a diss track that. Usually a diss track, you're like, we're not gonna see a music video for that, right? Of course, Hit 'Em Up and Ether and Take Over, we're not gonna see a music video for that. Goes from diss track to music video to song of the year to record of the year to one of the most streamed songs of the year to performing the Super Bowl. I mean, it's pretty much a generational run for that song. Yeah. Having said that, I do think that it wasn't a 10 for me. No. I would probably give it like after watching a couple times, I'd probably give like an 8.2.
I think that's actually pretty healthy. Yeah, that's solid. 8.2 is good.
8.2, I think that C's get degrees, B's get you the honor roll. Like he's an honor roll student for that performance.
Yeah. I mean,
but I think Kendrick is look. I think the best version of Kendrick is when he's just like a rapping monster. He's sweating and this and that. He kind of saved some gears for that tour a little bit and probably kept it a little bit PG for the Super Bowl crowd as well. Yeah. So all in all, I think it's getting a little too much hate. People who are saying it's the worst ever, you're just basically exposing yourself essentially.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Or you're just the glazer of all Drake glazers. But switching gears to hoops, we got to talk about the Mavs again because the Mavs really are the biggest story in the NBA. And the first thing I want to start with is I could not feel worse for the Mavs fans at this point after seeing that Anthony Davis, AD, could miss over a month with an abductor strain. And it was an Anthony Davis performance that if you watched him for the duration of his career, you'd say, oh, they got the full Anthony Davis performance. He came out in his first game as a Mav. He had 24 points at halftime. He had 26 points in the game, and then he leaves with a non-contact injury. He was like, I'm here. You see him yelling, he's like, I'm here. And then he's like, all right, I'm gonna head out. I gotta go to the trainer's room and see what's going on here because things aren't good for me. But it almost feels like the Mavs are cursed. And that's what I'm seeing right here. The Luka Doncic trade is going to curse this franchise for the next 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 years. Because even if Anthony Davis has success there, and clearly no one's ever doubted Anthony Davis's talent. I mean, 26, 16, 7, and 3 in 31 minutes. Says a lot about his capabilities, right? But it's the 300 fans outside that were chanting, Luka's not fat, bring him back. I mean, did you see that?
Oh, man, I didn't see that. That's crazy.
They were chanting, Luka's not fat, bring him back.
That's crazy.
They had a coffin. This one guy tried to get into the game. It was Nico Harrison, the general manager for the Dallas Mavericks. He was with Nike Hoops from their basketball division for a long time. The Mavs didn't let a fan in who's wearing a T-shirt that had the Nike swoosh. Instead of Nike, it said Nico, and it said "Get out of here."
Oh,
right?
wow!
So
wow.
I mean, the strain on the fan base is so high at this point that it's tough to see them recovering this season. And I think Anthony Davis, the biggest disappointment is that Anthony Davis is not going to be available when the Lakers play the Mavs on February 25th. We'll see if he's available later, but it just really felt like it was a sad day for the Mavs. I mean, you're kind of like, okay, this is terrible, but damn, he's freaking good. Maybe win a title this year. He goes out with the injury, but hopefully he can come back healthy and go on a nice run with them. But Noel, what was your reaction? Was it, oh, this is AD, right?
I mean, definitely, like, we've seen it time and time again, but it was pretty depressing to see just because I see the Mavericks as a team with a healthy AD and with the core they have right now is, I mean, one of the top teams in the West, and they have the identities and they have the team structure to compete with the best, potentially push for a Western Conference Finals. Obviously, the goal is to win a title as soon as possible because you traded the future of your franchise. And like, you got PJ Washington, Kyrie Irving, you got Clay, you got AD, you got Derek Lively. I mean, that's a squad that I don't think anybody would want to face. So seeing him go out like this when he came out so dominant, it hurt my heart to see, you know? Trade aside, jokes aside. I mean, our guy Noah was saying like, oh, like, he comes to the Mavericks and all of a sudden we're feeling bad, but on the Lakers, we were making fun of him. Like,
That's
nah,
true.
like, I want to see everybody competing to the best of their abilities. And I kind of want to see a Mavericks-Lakers playoff series if possible, you know what I'm saying? But depressing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact is, he could still come back and they could still have success with Anthony Davis, but it also feels like, okay, now you know the emotional roller coaster that is an Anthony Davis game. He's going to play at a championship level, an MVP level, but he can't do anything if he's not on the court. And I hate non-contact injuries too.
Yeah.
They're the worst. Facts. Now, switch gears too. Over the weekend, we'll kind of hit this one quick. The Mark Williams, it was the reverse Uno card.
Yeah.
It was the reverse Uno card. It was like, oh man, Rob Pelinka Cook, Bill Robb a statue. They saved the assets that they were going to use in the Luka trade, the first round pick, Dalton Connect, and instead of having to include that in the pick, which most GMs would have gotten out of Lakers, they got a very talented center, at least the guy who has the potential to be that. They solved their center problems, but all of a sudden he didn't pass the physical. He did not pass the physical, and because the deal took place at the buzzer on the deadline, they couldn't go back and do anything else. They couldn't make another trade. They couldn't find a way to fix this trade. And Dalton Connect comes back, And it's going to be a little awkward, but it's business. But the big problem is the Lakers don't have that center now. They need a frontline guy that could complement Luka Doncic, be that lob threat, get to the rack, hopefully be a better fit defensively. But now they're basically looking at Jackson Hayes in the buyout market at this point. So it's unfortunate. I don't think this long-term deters you from the excitement that you should be feeling for the Luka Doncic trade. But man, I mean, we talked about it. I mean, I was feeling like if you got anything out of Mark Williams and he was just a starting caliber center with the way that the West is and how good LeBron and Luka are, LeBroncic, as I'm calling them, how good they have the potential to be.
It's a good shirt idea.
It's a good shirt idea. The big lead.la, .gear up / But absolutely. I mean, it's deflating for this Lakers team that has to find a center on the buyout market at this point.
No, absolutely. And it kind of feels like karma in some way, just because, like you said, you saw Anthony Davis go down in his first game with the Mavericks, and the Lakers, like, that Mark Williams trade came out of nowhere. Just like the Luka trade, there was really no reporting going on. If anything, we were looking at the other Hornets center that got traded, Nick Richards. So when Mark Williams came over, that's when, all the analysts started doing a deep dive. You see he's only played about 60 or 70 games in the past 2 years. And what I was reading was actually that the Lakers didn't find anything too wrong with his back. They knew that was the case. But
the foot.
Yeah, he had a condition in his foot that only elderly people around 70, 80 years old get. So he had that at such a young age. It happens when you grow pretty fast and when there's a heavy load on you. So, yeah, man, super, super crazy. I think it's like Dalton Connect basically got paid time off. Camera-ish.
Yeah, no, I was pissed that I didn't go to like Dick's Sporting Goods and buy like a Dalton Connect jersey for $60.
Yeah.
It was probably cheap for like a couple of minutes
On
there.
the clearance rack, for sure, you would have got one.
I
My
would've copped
barber,
one.
actually, he got a Dalton Connect jersey for his birthday. So I told him when the trade happened, I was like, man, you got like a collector's item right now, bro. But yeah,
He's back, though. He's so back. And you look at where the Lakers' assets are right now. I mean, the positive in all this is you didn't get a lemon, and they were sold a lemon in Mark Williams, but you do have some assets to work with moving forward. You get Dalton Connect back, you get Cam Reddish back, you get the 2031 first round pick, you also get the pick swap. So, I mean, I think if you're the Lakers and I'm LeBron, he's the biggest loser in all this in the sense that he needs to win this year. And that was your win now piece with Williams. Now it's about, okay, how do we get the best center in the future moving forward, Luka Doncic? I don't think this is going to go, I don't think it's going to impact LeBron's willingness to stay because at the end of the day, it's LA. He wants to be here. I mean, that's why he's here because of the palm trees, the production, the production company he has, Bronny James. He's going to be a Laker.
Yeah.
But as far as the Lakers maximizing this championship win with LeBron, it really does impact that in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately when I look at this whole situation, LeBron might have to play some 5 minutes. Like, that's just the truth. There's going to have to be some moments where LeBron's going to have to pay the 5 and the Lakers are going to have to just find ways to adjust. But I think their window is open. And honestly, Noel, when you talked about his foot, the reality is you wouldn't want to get this Mark Williams trade going and then in a year from now, Mark Williams isn't available and you're in that situation. So
no, absolutely. And like giving up the assets they gave up, it's to get a center for your future. So as bad as it is, they wouldn't have rescinded this trade if they felt confident.
Yeah.
That's the big bottom line right there. And I think at the end of the day, any center that has basically missed 65% of his games at that height, the fact that they'd be playing deep in the postseason means more wear and tear. And if you listen to these NBA players, they'll tell you like one playoff game is like 10 regular season games. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to be following his career. It'd be funny if he ended up playing 82 games a year for the next 10 years, making all-star teams. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is someone that is going to not be quite Greg Oden, but is not going to be Pau Gasol either.
I mean, he could be like a Tyson Chandler, where Tyson Chandler, same thing. He was supposed to get traded to OKC, and then they rescinded the trade because of his injury history. He ended up winning a title as like the backbone defensive guy in the Mavericks. So, I mean, you never know what could happen, but I mean, with getting Luka, you want to make the right choices right away. You want to have him contending as soon as possible, and you don't want to trade something for, like you said, a lemon.
That's true, and I think for the Lakers, I mean, the training staff they put together, it's improved the last couple of years. And at the end of the day, I'm like, bring this guy. I'm like, hey, LeBron, like, how the hell do you do it?
Yeah,
like,
and also on the topic of Lakers hiring people, did you guys see that one of Luka's main trainers that was with them? Yeah, that like really helped him lose weight that the Mavericks fired. The Lakers hired him already. That's already a great look. That's a
great look and also kind of a slap in the face of that Mavs organization for sure. But yeah, with Mark Williams, I mean, possibly a blessing for the future, but kind of disastrous for this postseason, for being completely honest. Hayes is not a championship caliber starting center, but I think I'm going to withhold judgment until I see how this Luka LeBron pairing works. If it works like they hope it will, they're going to be dangerous versus anyone in the league. But we're going to end here on this Mavs owner. The Mavs owner basically came out and talked about the Luka Doncic trade. And his name is Patrick Dumont. He owns the club along with the Adelsons. And he was asked if he thought the Mavs were a better team after trading Luka Doncic and getting Anthony Davis. And Dumont said, I do. Look, it's been an emotional week for everyone. It really has. I clearly understand that, and I really appreciate that. I'm a big Luka fan. My family and I are big Luka fans. I have a really deep appreciation for what he brought to this team, what he brought to Dallas, and the excitement he brings. He's an electrifying player. I want you to know I really sympathize with all of our fans who feel hurt. Look, as far as I'm concerned, Luka is a Mav for life, and I really wish him nothing but happiness and success in his career as he continues in LA. So, first comment, not that bad. I mean, what are you supposed to say? No, we got worse. We got fleeced. I'm with you guys. I hate Nico Harrison too. He's not going to say that. That's fine. It's the next part that I had a big problem with. He was asked if he believed that this new version of the Mavs, post-Luka, with Anthony Davis, was going to put themselves in a better position to win a championship. And he said, if you look at the greats in this league, the people you and I grew up with, Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Shaq, they worked really hard every day with a singular focus to win. And if you don't have that, it doesn't work. And if you don't have that, you shouldn't be a part of the Dallas Mavericks. He ran over Luka Doncic with a double-decker bus. That was one of the most disrespectful comments I've seen towards a superstar entering their prime in recent memory. And look at the guys who was mentioning it. I mean, Michael Jordan's the GOAT of all GOATs, in my opinion. You know how I feel about that. In the Olympics, they allowed him to golf every day. He golfed in the middle of a NBA Finals, where he also dropped a 50-piece on the Suns. He played cards and smoked cigar and drank all night after wins, okay? Yeah, he was a physical freak. He kept himself in great shape, but no one was questioning Michael Jordan doing that. Larry Bird in 1985, go look this up. In 1985, during the playoffs, Larry Bird got into a bar fight, a literal bar fight when he was with the Celtics, and that cost him a championship. Shaquille O'Neal. Now, I love the Big Diesel. I've argued that he's actually ahead of Kobe on the all-time list for certain reasons because Shaq is Shaq. And when Shaq was at his best, he was the most dominant player we've ever seen in this league for long stretches. But Kobe Bryant literally said about Shaquille O'Neal that if Shaq was in shape, they could have won 12 effing rings. He said that they could have won 12 effing rings if Shaq got into the gym. Those are the guys that Dumont mentioned there. And on top of that, how about you show some love to your own superstar? How about you show some love to Dirk Nowitzki? That's all you had to do is show some love to Dirk. Instead, you went to all these other players out there that certainly were great players, some of the best we've ever seen in this game. But all great players, they have their warts. All great players throughout the course of their history, they have issues they've dealt with. It's about on-court performance. The man just took you to the NBA Finals. And I've seen a lot of pictures on social media where it looks like Luka Doncic went through a war. He's wrapped in bandages around his shoulder, his knees, his legs. The facial expressions looks like he wanted to get some rest. Instead, he's out there laying on the line for a Mavs team that he nearly dragged across the finish line. And there is a quote on Dirk Nowitzki's statue and says, "Loyalty never fades away." The truth is, all those players you mentioned, there was some loyalty involved with those guys. Yeah, Shaq they traded away at the end, but it was Jerry West that convinced him to go to Lakers over the Magic in the last minute. And they did that without even having a vision for the roster at the time. They just did it because you're going to get Shaq and you get Shaq. Larry Bird the same way. Michael Jordan, who knows all the things that Chicago was hiding up throughout the years? I mean, right? I mean, pre-social media, all bets are off. There was loyalty with those guys. You should have shown the same loyalty to Luka Doncic. And your fans are mad. I think your players are in a bad position right now. And I just think it's one of the most tone-deaf comments I've ever heard from an owner. This move was one of the worst moves you've ever seen, and I think it's only going to get worse. But Noel, what do you think of those comments?
I mean, it really just sounds like there was so much going on behind the scenes that we didn't know between Luka and the coaching staff and the management and the ownership, because I've never seen a superstar of his status get traded so young with so little being known to the public, and then for him to get bashed like this. I mean, you said it best. It almost feels like they were just saying, like, this dude never practiced. This dude was doing a version of AI's press conference saying, we talking about practice, drinking beer on the sidelines, filling up his bottle with liquor instead of water, and just really not working hard at all. When really, when you look at his chemistry with his Mavs teammates, when you watch interviews about all the guys he's ever played with, except for Dennis Smith Jr. probably, but I feel like everybody has only said good things about his leadership. And yeah, you know, maybe he was a little bit out of shape, but that's what made him the player he was. If he got skinny and super slimmed down, he wouldn't be able to body smaller guards the way he does. And we haven't seen anything except excellence from him in the postseason, other than when he's been hurt. And like Doug said, even when he's been hurt, he was playing out there on one leg. He was shooting off of one leg. And I think, you know, there's a reason why he didn't play on Saturday, I believe, because they said he was still like in shock. I'd be in shock too. If I got traded and then they're calling me a loser, they're calling me fat. Like, it's crazy.
Luke is not fat. Bring him back.
There we go.
I wish I was making that up. I think it was just like,
were you there? It sounds like you might exactly what you're saying.
I love the fact too. He says, "I'm a big Luka fan, bro." You know you're not. Like, oh, so what do you? Imagine if he says, "I'm a big Luka fan, but I'm a bigger Anthony Davis fan." Said no one ever, right? Nick Angstad, who's my friend who hosts Locked On Mavs, he covers them. He hit me up on the DM and said, "Hey man, congratulations on the new fans." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Literally, there are lifelong Mavericks fans that have grown up in Dallas that are going to be Lakers fans." I remember we experienced this when LeBron signed with the Lakers. Yeah. It was this whole new group of fans that are Lakers fans. I mean, me being a Kylian Mbappe fan, when he went to Real Madrid, I'm like, Kylian, let's roll, baby.
Yeah.
Like that's the squad, right?
Follow him everywhere, yeah.
I mean, thankfully I got Shohei on the Dodgers, but if Shohei signed with the Blue Jays, they'd be my side team. Let's put it that way, right? Thankfully I got my guy on my team.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of is a window into the modern sports fan experience. It's about the players on the team. As big as the brands are, it's about the players on the team. I also want to point out this. Dumont, he married into the Adelson family, and they own the Mavericks. He's overseen the Sands Corporation, and in his career, overseeing the Sands Corporation after the marriage, they've dropped 25% in stock value. So all this guy knows how to do is drop the stock in whatever he's overseeing. If all it is a 25% drop for the Mavericks, that'd be a win. Because I think it's going to be a 50, 60, 70% drop in fan interest in the course of how long Luka is with the Lakers and whatever this post-Anthony Davis thing is. Like, AD might not be back for the Mavs until he's 32. I mean, he's 31, the birthday. I mean, you just can't lose sight of the fact that 26, 27, that's winning time in this league. And yeah, I should feel happy about this, obviously, because I grew up as a Laker fan. But I don't know. There's something that it's almost like I put on my Mavs fan cap or something, because it's so bad.
The problem is we all feel bad for those Mavs fans, because the people who are Lakers fans here in Los Angeles, they just can't believe it. Nobody can believe what happened here. So Doug, the reality is nobody's able to like fathom what took place a week ago. And I'm gonna just say this, because I'm gonna double down on what I said to you the other week. I do not care if between halftime Luka Doncic needed to snort a line.
Whoa.
He 100% is worth 300. He took you to the finals, and I know that's a bit extreme. I don't want to, sound like, but there's just no reason to wrap our heads around getting rid of Luka Doncic. Like, there's no justification. I think everybody is still contemplating the shock of it all.
For sure, 100%. I think the only thing that would make any sense is if he does become a Joel Embiid type, or a player like an Andrew Luck, retires early, a guy gets injured. There's no other way to justify it, especially when you consider the marketing benefits, the star power that he currently has. But good thing is, God loves the Lakers. The basketball gods love the Lakers, and they just can't go there. They just can't go 5-10 years without a superstar. And this is the latest guy, and he is hopefully going to make it on the court. He's listed as probable. Him and LeBron James is going to be on ESPN. Hopefully we'll see better score bugs in tonight's game than we saw during the Super Bowl. But that's going over the big lead. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. We'll be back tomorrow. Got Sean Spaces Davis going to join us to break down Luka Doncic's first night with the Lakers. So we'll talk about that. Tons of content coming at you this week, but that's going to do it for this episode. Until next time, I'm out.